The damsel in distress in the dream. Draoithe Saga fictional nonfiction. The archetype of the damsel in distress is a familiar figure in classic fantasy, traditionally serving as a helpless pawn whose rescue is the primary motivation for the heroic protagonist. This character, often defined by her purity and/or vulnerability, exists to be saved from a looming threat. In the mystic dark prequel trilogy, this character is Danica Klein. However, in the unforgiving landscape of dark fantasy, this trope undergoes a grim and compelling transformation. The damsel is no longer a simple objective to be achieved, but a reflection of the genre's core themes: moral ambiguity, inescapable suffering, and the subversion of heroic narratives. Haunted Echoes opens with Danica Klein escaping her kidnappers and fleeing in the dark into an ice storm in a dark forest. She doesn't know where she is or where she should go. Getting away, even if it meant her death, was preferable to remaining alive and tortured in captivity. In this darker context, the damsel in distress is frequently granted a greater, if more tragic, complexity. Her helplessness is not a plot device, but a brutal reality of a dangerous world, dark magic, or one without clear-cut heroes. The distress itself is often more visceral and profound, rooted in horror or genuine powerlessness against a truly monstrous foe. Danica Klein has forbidden magic, which could rend the fabric of the dream. It's dangerous, and she's even more dangerous wielding it because she unknowingly lacks the proper safeguards required to use it effectively. Her situation is tragic, and her curse only spells her death, the destruction of those around her, or total ruin. The protagonist's quest to save her may not end as expected, or the act of salvation might come at a cost too high, rendering the victory hollow or requiring a brutal sacrifice. Her agency may be stripped away completely, or she might possess a desperate, flawed magic that ultimately brings potential ruin to herself and others. This reframing highlights a central tenet of dark fantasy, that not all stories have the expected happy ending, and not all suffering can be overcome by strength alone. In the Mystic Dark trilogy, Rorik Skogvator is the most unlikely hero. As a criminal immortal damned for eternity by his past, he's seeking his own end as the Haunted Echoes story opens. The last thing he expects is for a half-frozen cursed human female to fall into his care. But Danica Klein needs help, and no matter how awful his existence has been, his chivalry won't allow him to refuse her aid. But choosing to help her lands Rorik on a doomed path. The magic will grant his original desire, but not quite the way he expects, and the dream will add 2 more souls to its defense. Ultimately, the damsel in distress in dark fantasy serves to deepen the narrative's tragic or grim setting. Her presence reminds the audience that in a world governed by chaos and cruelty, innocence is a weakness, and virtue offers no protection. She is not merely an object to be saved, but a symbol of the fragile nature of hope in a world gone mad. The hero's failure surrounding her rescue, or the terrible price paid for her survival, reveals more about the bleakness of the world and the futility of heroism than any grand battle ever could. Danica Klein is the living embodiment of the grim truths that define the dark, and her relationship with Rorik Skogvator stands in stark counterpoint to the triumphant romances of high fantasy. In a story where the villains are shadowy and may outnumber the heroes, there's little hope for a happily ever after without a hardship that neither the hero nor the damsel's abilities can overcome. Ophelia Kee is a huge fan of chivalric heroes, damsels in distress, and fated mates. The Draoithe saga is filled with stories involving these types of characters. In the Mystic Dark prequel trilogy, the noble dark shines through the flawed characters in splendid detail, from haunted echoes into ruined hearts, finally culminating in shattered souls. Will the main characters receive the help they need? Or will tragedy claim their hopes? The only way to find out is to feel your way through the dark. It's more than a story, it's an experience. I sincerely hope you enjoyed this look behind the curtain, glimpsing the research and inspiration behind the writing of the Draoithe saga. In real life, Ophelia Kee has spent decades studying and teaching human geography and world history. Bits and pieces of the human stories from the past, fairy tales, folklore, myths, legends, and belief systems of societies from around the globe all inspired many tales in the dream. A special thank you to OK Music Writers for writing and sharing Enter the Dream. If you found this post worthy, please feel free to share it. If you are listening on YouTube, don't forget to like and subscribe for more original stories and audio adventures. Thank you for your support. Welcome to the dream. Sincerely, OK.